I'm Kendra Cook, your host for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado. The Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV with support from the Southwest Colorado TV Translator Association. That's the special district association responsible for bringing the area free-to-access TV stations over the air by antenna. This is a community TV station, so if there is a news story or event information that you would like to share, you can call us. The number is 970-677-4119 and leave a message. Or if you're a business or organization, we welcome you to find out about sponsorship opportunities for banners or video segments run on the channel. This is the Tuesday program for May 19th, 2020, DCTV Daily News. The Gazette updated on the status of how Colorado is listing the death numbers that are related to COVID-19 pandemic. Colorado to start differentiating between COVID-19 deaths and other conditions is the headline. Colorado has started to differentiate between the deaths caused directly by COVID-19 and those in which the person had the disease but didn't die from it, the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment said on a briefing. Data from the State Health Department on Friday showed 21,232 positive cases statewide and 1,150 deaths. Of those, 878 were directly attributed to the coronavirus. More than 220 outbreaks were reported at long-term care facilities. In previous reporting, the State Health Department hasn't distinguished the deaths of those who died from COVID-19 from those who died from other causes but tested positive for COVID-19, health officials said, and reported them together as all COVID-19 deaths. So in El Paso County, the state reported 83 coronavirus deaths, and state officials did not immediately respond to whether the department would begin identifying how many deaths can be directly attributed to the disease on a county level too. Quote, "We've been doing this to align with the recommendations from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention," said Dr. Eric France, Chief Medical Officer at CDPHE. "Doing it for public health surveillance allows us to do the kind of apples-to-apples comparisons across states or cities where everybody's using the same definition." What a thought. Including on a death certificate that a person tested positive for COVID-19 even though they ultimately died of other causes, quote, "is important," said Kirk Bohl, head of the department's statistics branch. State health officials insisted no death certificates have been altered to reflect more fatalities, despite accusations that the department inflates the statistics. Quote, "We do not question the information as reported on the death certificate or change that information," Bohl said. Quote, "We take what is reported on the death certificate to us, and then we share that with the CDC, and together we process that information to ultimately compile official vital statistics for the state and the country," end quote. Some Coloradans and Gazette readers have recently accused health officials of purposely augmenting the number of coronavirus deaths to bring in more money for their hospital. Quote, "It is true that recent legislation pays hospitals higher Medicare rates for COVID-19 patients," wrote a CDPHE spokeswoman in an email. This legislation stems from the CARES Act. "We trust that doctors are doing all they can to take care of patients. There is no evidence to support reports that providers are deliberately miscoding patients as COVID-19 to earn more money for hospitals," end quote. Governor Jared Polis addressed the data collection at a separate briefing on Friday, saying Colorado State Representative Mark Baisley was wrong in accusing Jill Ryan, executive director of the CDPHE, of falsely altering death certificates. Quote, "I've told the Department of Health to be very clear in their reporting," Polis said. "Nobody behind a desk should ever second-guess a coroner or an attending physician that lists the cause of death on a certificate," end quote. The governor echoed that the state health department was reporting the, quote, "higher numbers to the CDC because of," quote, "federal guidelines." Still, he acknowledged that what the people of Colorado want to know is not who died with COVID-19, but who died of COVID-19. Public health officials said they hope to have the state's coronavirus data website updated soon, showing more distinction between the types of deaths. And an update here in Dolores County, we still remain without a single positive case. The Department of Public Health noted that there have been a total of 21 people tested in our county since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, and all have come back negative. And now let's take a look at the local weather. A red flag warning is in effect from 11 a.m. this morning to midnight tonight for gusty winds, low relative humidity, and dry fuels for Colorado fire weather zones, which includes southwest Colorado. Fire weather watch is in effect from Wednesday afternoon through to Wednesday evening, again for those same winds, low relative humidity, and dry fuels. Today, areas of blowing dust are expected this afternoon. It's going to be sunny and hot with a high near 77 degrees. Windy with a south wind at 20 to 25 miles an hour, increasing to 25 to 30 miles an hour later in the afternoon. And then hold on to your hat, I mean it. Winds could gust as high as 50 miles an hour, which is why the seriousness of the red flag warnings are in place. For tonight, areas of blowing dust continue to about 9 p.m., mostly clear overnight with a low around 42. It will remain windy with a south-southwest wind at 25 to 30 miles an hour, decreasing overnight to 15 to 20 miles an hour. But still, the train-like sounds of winds could gust as high as 50 miles an hour occasionally through the night. Don't be surprised. Wednesday, cooling off a bit with sunny skies and a high near 64 degrees, still breezy, and a south wind at 15 to 20 miles an hour becoming west-southwest in the later afternoon. Winds could gust as high as 35 miles an hour. Then Wednesday night, clear and a low around 36, with west-south winds at 10 to 15 miles an hour becoming light and variable. Into Thursday, a sunny day with a high near 67, light and variable winds again at just 5 to 10 miles an hour. For Thursday night, mostly clear and a low around 40. Into Friday, another sunny day with a high near 74. Friday night, mostly clear and a low around 44. For the weekend, a Saturday mostly sunny day with a high near 71 degrees, and Saturday night mostly cloudy with a low around 42, and then sunny again for Sunday with a high near 69, and Sunday night mostly clear and a low around 42. And now back to the news. So here is more drought news as the Durango Herald and the Journal reports on our dangerously dry conditions. While portions of northeastern La Plata County have been placed in extreme drought and the remainder of the county, along with Montezuma County, is listed in severe drought. Dolores County is moderate and severe right now, between D1 and D2. And with the National Weather Service seeing no relief from the unusually dry May coming soon to the Four Corners, as we just heard from the weather report. Quote, the jet stream over the western United States is further north and west than normal this time of year, and that's keeping storms north and west of Colorado, said Michael Charnick, meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Grand Junction. Red flag warnings of high fire danger are in effect for southwest Colorado. Red flag warnings are issued when relative humidity drops below 10 to 15% and winds exceed 10 to 20 miles an hour. And the new warnings come as wildfires broke out in the Four Corners. The Steel Canyon fire north of Norwood has been contained to 60 acres, according to the BLM and Division of Fire Prevention and Control. The fire burned on the Uncompahgre Plateau in Montrose County off of Highway 90. Firefighting resources included BLM, Montrose, and Telluride firefighters, 2 engines, a helicopter, and 2 fixed-wing aircrafts. Crews remained on scene to extinguish small spot fires in the area. In northern New Mexico, firefighters contained the Lumberton fire, which has burned 443 acres of ponderosa pine and brush. The wildfire east of Dulce was started by debris burning. The fire is 100% contained and is in patrol status, according to InsaWeb. We're setting up for a dry early summer, and that definitely will have impacts on the fire season, Charnick said. The lack of May rain is especially problematic because June is the driest month of the year in Durango, with an average of only 0.7 of an inch of rain. A slight chance of rain exists in the high country of the San Juan Mountains tonight, but even if rain comes, Charnick expected precipitation to measure in the hundredths of an inch. Other than the slight chance for light rain in the high country on Tuesday night, the weather forecast for southwest Colorado looks dry through at least May 24th. At the request of local fire chiefs, La Plata County enacted a Stage 1 fire restriction status on May 12th in unincorporated areas of the county as well as lands owned by the county. The restrictions include a ban on burns, burn barrels, and agricultural burning. Some agricultural producers are exempt from Stage 1 fire restrictions. A restriction on smoking, which must be confined to enclosed vehicles or buildings in developed recreational sites or in an area 3 feet in diameter clear of flammable vegetation. A ban on the use of explosive materials, such as fireworks, blasting caps, or incendiary devices. A Stage 1 fire restrictions also are now in place in La Plata County, U.S. Forest Service land, and the Southern Ute Indian Tribe land. Richard Bustamante, fire manager for the San Juan National Forest, said that the agency enacted fire restrictions in early April, anticipating high fire danger. Earlier this week, Bustamante said public lands around Durango are experiencing, quote, unprecedented use by recreationists comparable to crowds seen during the 4th of July holiday. Even with restrictions in place, he said Forest Service crews are finding a high number of abandoned campfires. Both Forest Service and BLM representatives spoke with the Dolores County Commissioners and our sheriff at the board meeting yesterday. While our county is not instituting a fire ban, there are warnings in place as we move through these dry conditions. As campgrounds begin to reopen this weekend, there will be strict regulations with regard to fire outside of the COVID-related restrictions. DCTV shall keep you posted as to the status of the bans in the coming weeks. From the AP, a Navajo Nation update, where the residents are under the strictest lockdowns yet. Residents of the Navajo Nation will be under the strictest weekend lockdown yet, with grocery stores and gas stations closed and even essential workers ordered to stay home. Navajo President Jonathan Nez made the announcement after a spike in deaths that he attributed to shifting traffic patterns after the city of Gallup recently shut down to outside visitors. That lockdown in northwestern New Mexico has since ended. On the Navajo Nation, residents will face citations with potential fines and jail time if they leave their homes during the lockdown, which started Friday night and ended Monday morning around dawn. Nez urged people to listen and not pack their bags to head out of town during the lockdown. Stay home, that's the bottom line. There's nothing wrong with staying home and taking care of your home, taking care of your family members, a frustrated Nez said on last Thursday. Quote, we need to be able to recognize what you do affects everybody. While the state of Arizona has loosened its restrictions on residents and businesses, the Navajo Nation has clamped down. The tribe already has daily nighttime curfews and requires people to wear masks when out in public. Government offices are closed or have limited services, and the tribe's stay-at-home order has been extended to June 7th, while Arizona's expired last Friday. As of Friday, the tribe reported 127 deaths and 3,740 positive coronavirus cases since it first began tracking the figures. More than 500 people have recovered. Tribal health officials said that there were no new deaths reported as of Friday. Loretta Christensen, the chief medical officer for the Navajo Area Indian Health Service, said that the reservation's 3 largest hospitals hit capacity last week, in line with expected predictions, and a significant number of patients were transferred off of the reservation. While we're still getting cases across the area, but not at the velocity we did before, she said in a call with reporters last Thursday. People who have tested positive but no longer need to be hospitalized are being encouraged to stay in one of 3 isolation centers set up in basketball gyms on and off the reservation to protect their families. Isolation tents also are available for those who would rather not leave their property, Christensen said. For most people, the new coronavirus causes mild or moderate symptoms such as fever and cough that clear up in 2 to 3 weeks. For some, especially older adults and people with existing health problems, it can cause more severe illness, including pneumonia and death. McKinley County, which includes Gallup, had been the hotspot on the reservation because of a recent outbreak of a detox center. At a detox center, Apache County in Arizona surpassed it with the most COVID-19 cases on the reservation, according to the Thursday figures. Apache County had 948 positive cases, while McKinley County had 928, tribal officials said. Navajo County in Arizona had 757 cases, and San Juan County in New Mexico had 428. 6 other counties in Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah had smaller numbers. The Navajo Nation's total cases include 99 that previously weren't included because they took longer than usual to verify. Tribal officials also cited jurisdictional challenges. Our prayers and good wishes for recovery continue for our neighbors to the south. And here's a story I couldn't help but share with all of you. The whole mask good, mask bad debacle that has been very confusing for the general population throughout these past 4+ months hits another low as the actual, quote, science behind the directives of what to do or not to do continues to be muddled, in my opinion, making it difficult to think for ourselves and make decisions to stay healthy instead of just following what is told that we should do. Now, this is an actual article from Forbes taken from information out of Australia. It was picked up by MSN and then later removed from their site. Go figure. The headline is, "Could you get COVID-19 from a fart?" This could stink if it were the case. Perhaps you got wind of the question that Norman Swan asked on a recent Australian Broadcasting Corporation podcast. Can farts transmit the COVID-19 coronavirus? Yes, farts, those natural gas emissions that come from everyone else's behind but yours. Are there scientific reasons to even consider this as a possibility, or is such speculation all simply hot air? Let's get to the bottom of the science, it says. Forbes' article continues that any possible link between farting and the transmission of the COVID-19 coronavirus could be relevant, because that's what people do, fart. Estimates as to the number of times healthy people fart per day ranges from 5 to 25 times. Of course, these are just rough thresholds, so if you are desperately trying to hold in that 26th fart today, just let it go. You may be wondering, but it isn't the severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, the SARS-CoV-2, a respiratory virus and not an intestinal or a butatory virus? That's true, but testing has found that the SARS-CoV-2 can be present in fecal matter, which is a scientific way of saying poop. But there's more. Diarrhea can be a symptom of COVID-19, as Robert Glatter has indicated previously for Forbes. Anyone who has farted while having diarrhea knows that things can get a bit bubbly. More buts. Even when you don't have diarrhea, farts, also known as flatulence or backdoor breezes, can come in lots of different varieties, ranging from tiny toots to rather wet ones. And that wetness ain't soda water. A study published in the 1997 issue of the Journal of Physiology measured the volume of study participants' farts and found the largest volume fart to be 375 milliliters. That's over 12.6 fluid ounces, which is more than what's in a tall latte from Starbucks. With so much potentially coming out your rear end, could a fart be basically a butt cough or a butt sneeze? Can it actually spray poop particles and the virus into the air? If you are wondering if anyone has ever farted into a petri dish and then measured what subsequently grew in the dish, the answer would be a hard yes. A 2001 BMJ article described how a doctor had a subject fart towards a petri dish, first while wearing pants, the subject and not the petri dish, and then do the same without pants. As in the case of many other different situations, wearing pants seemed to make a difference. Nothing grew in the dish when the subject farted while wearing pants, but clumps of bacteria eventually appeared in the petri dish after the subject had farted while butt naked, meaning that the subject's butt was exposed without pants. This suggested that a fart could indeed propel microbes into the air. Of course, this was just one study that reeked of limitations. You can't tell too much from studying a single subject. In this case, single means one, although, quote, farted without pants into a petri dish may not be the best thing to list on your dating profile. There's always the chance that the petri dish was contaminated by direct touch. After all, farting at an object while not wearing pants and avoiding touching that object in any way can be challenging depending on the angles, the distance from the object, and your positioning. After all, your bottom is not a missile launcher. Moreover, even if a fart were to spray one type of microbe, it may not spray all microbes equally. A fart may not be a democracy. It doesn't make sure that each microbe is equally represented. Who knows? Your fart could be more of a dictatorship fart or an oligarchy fart where only certain microbes are present. There's always the possibility that you deliver electoral college farts that represent different microbes in different proportions in mysterious ways that don't always make sense. As you can see, governments and farts can be complicated. Additionally, just because a microbe is present in a fart doesn't mean that there is enough of the microbe to cause an infection in humans. In case you didn't know, farting into a petri dish is different from farting into someone's face and then waiting to see if that person develops an infection. The latter experiment would be very difficult to recruit for, no matter how many gift cards you promised. Moreover, the experiment did not test how far the microbes could travel in the air with a fart and how long the microbes may continue to float. These could vary quite significantly with fart velocity and trajectory. As you may have heard, some farts can come out like Usain Bolt in the 100-meter dash. Others are more like Ant-Man climbing out of a hole. Regarding the floating issue, you've probably walked into an empty room and determined quickly that, quote, someone farted in here. It's certainly a way that someone can leave a longer lasting impression. Nonetheless, while the smell suggests that something is still hanging in the air, that something may not necessarily be microbes. In the words of Yoda, or at least how he would say it, much to learn about farts we have. Frankly, compared with other more studied areas, the state of fart science kind of stinks. Regardless, even if farts were to propel the virus, don't hold your breath for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, and the World Health Organization, the WHO, to get behind any substantial warning about farts. That's because, as Swan indicated, quote, "Luckily, we wear a mask which covers our farts all the time." Note that this doesn't mean that people are putting N95 respirators on their booties. That would be an improper use of such masks and not likely to pass the fit test for such masks. Rather, Swan was referring to pants, dresses, underwear, and other things like barrels that are typically used to cover the butt. This prompted Swan to make the following recommendation, quote, "I think what we should do in terms of social distancing and being safe is that policy on the part of the entire Australian population should be that you don't fart close to other people and that you don't fart with your bottom bare," end quote. The bottom line, although farting can push out air rapidly like coughing and sneezing, it is still not exactly the same. So, as long as you use some common sense and courtesy, don't worry too much about farting, at least when it comes to spreading the COVID-19 coronavirus. So there you have it. On that note, I will remind you that our Facebook page is DCTV Daily News, where you can also watch the program replay along with news, links, and stories of local interest. And you too can share other events or riveting news like what I just shared there, or any relevant or engaging posts of interest, and join in on the conversation. Again, this is your local community TV station. So if you have something you would like to share, contact us by email. It's dcbnnews@gmail.com, or you can call the station 970-677-4119. And thank you for tuning in to DCTV Daily News. Programs are broadcast Monday through Friday with replays online on our YouTube channel or on our DCTV Daily News page on Facebook. And if you like the program, please do like and follow us on Facebook and share it with your friends and family. This has been a production of DCTV for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado, USA. I'm Kendra Cook. Again, thank you for watching.